You might find this hard to believe, but players are still lobbying to be traded to the Lakers. I have proof. Today is the NFL trading deadline day, and we have the latest in rumors regarding the defending Super Bowl champion Rams. And Kawhi Leonard will miss at least 2 more games, an entire road trip for the Clippers. Hi, I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is Faithful Angelenos. It's November 1st, 2022. I'm in a pretty good mood, back with the wife. It's a beautiful thing. Now, you might be wondering what that weird thing was over in the corner of the room. I have no idea. I've heard it could be a cat toy. I've also heard it could be a marital aid. You guys be the judge. It's not germane to this clip. Before we go in through the news and notes from around LA sports, let's talk a little bit about the scoreboard. Last night, Gabriel Velarde scored his 7th goal of the year to lead the LA Kings to a 5-1 victory over St. Louis. I'm overjoyed with this. I used to work. I'm a traveling employee. I used to work in St. Louis. I despise that town. Meanwhile, the Clippers ended a 4-game losing streak. They defeated Houston 95-93. We'll talk more about the Clippers, obviously, later today. Meanwhile, the Kings are also in action tonight. They will be playing in Dallas, another city I'm not too fond of. That game's at 5:30. The Stars are 3-1 at home so far this year. Now, by the way, as a quick break, if you like the content that we put out about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. You should hit it. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment, for I am not perfect. Pacers center Miles Turner suggested that the Lakers should trade for him. He did so on a podcast with ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski a couple of days ago. And what he did, I'm kind of sitting there asking myself, isn't that tampering? And is it tampering if you tamper with yourself? I mean, there's only way I know of that you can tamper with yourself, but that's not really something I want to get into detail here when I'm lonely and on the road. Here's the quote that Turner gave. Quote, "If I'm the Lakers, I would take a very hard look at this with the position that you're in. I know what I can provide for a team, my leadership, my shot blocking, my three-point ability, and just my ability to make plays out there," unquote. Now, you might remember, if you've been following the Lakers all summer long, there were proposed trades for the Lakers to try to send Russell Westbrook, say, to Indiana, along with 2 first-round picks, though, for Miles Turner and outside shooting threat Buddy Hield. Now, this definitely would improve the Lakers. I don't necessarily know if it puts them on championship level. What it does do, you would put Turner at the 5. That would allow Anthony Davis to kind of slide out to play power forward where he prefers to play. It improves the outside shot-making abilities. It opens up the lane, yada, yada, yada. But I don't necessarily know if that puts him on a championship level. Turner's 26. He averages only 12.7 points a game, but he does shoot 35% from three-point range and blocks almost 3 shots a game. Hield sinks 43% of his outside shots. So it appears that Miles Turner is taking matters into his own hands to try to wear purple and gold. There are now reports that the Rams are out of the running for Cleveland running back Kareem Hunt, but another report suggests that they definitely are trying to pry Nyheim Hines out of Indianapolis as a running back. Now, I've been talking all this time about how I think the Rams should go for edge rusher. How much do the Rams want an edge rusher? Well, NFL Network reporter Albert Breer, he's reporting that LA offered multiple first-round picks to Carolina to try to land edge rushing linebacker Brian Burns. Burns has 5.5 sacks so far this year. But Carolina turned them down. And other analysts are like, for multiple first-round picks? Why would you do that? But that's what Carolina did. Kawhi Leonard will not travel with the Clippers on their upcoming 2-game road trip. This means he is going to miss at least 6 games so far this year. Now, this is all from complications from a torn ACL that he had suffered during the 2021 season, but it also kept him out the entirety of last season. The man has only played 2 games so far this year, and he came off the bench for both. He's played 41 minutes total so far this year. And I'm going to be real with you. That is a real cause for concern. I don't think the Clippers nor the Clippers beat writers are illustrating just how much of a risk, how much of a threat this actually is. The Clippers are in a win-it-all this year mode. They know that their window is going to start closing soon. And now you have unquestionably a top 10 player in the game who missed the entire year last year. I don't think this sounds like a little tweak. I'm not a doctor. I don't know for sure. You tell me, leave comments in the thread if you're a Clippers fan. How concerned are you about this? Paul George is the only guy that they can rely on, by the way, because John Wall doesn't play both games of back-to-backs. And oh, by the way, Norman Powell has been downgraded to the bench. This is a problem. This is a team whose offense is based on driving into the lane, and when there's a double team, kicking it out quick. Because they're not hitting their threes right now either. Now that can even out over time, obviously, for the Clippers. Don't get me wrong. But this is not a team that is just firing off on all cylinders. Now, for his part, Paul George is actually taking responsibility for this. To his credit, he is saying that he is more than capable of, quote, willing the team to wins, unquote. So give the man credit for at least trying to own up and take responsibility and see what he can do on how he can help out. Chip Kelly lets the cat out of the bag for UCLA and why they want to leave the conference. He is saying that Pac-12 after dark hurts the school's star players because nobody on the East Coast is going to stay up until 2 a.m. their time to watch Zach Charbonnet or Dorian Thompson-Robinson. He is absolutely correct about this. Absolutely correct. And that really does hurt UCLA in terms of recruiting for the future. Of course you would want a Heisman Trophy winner when you go try and lobby yourself to some of these younger players. Having said that, I'm just sitting there like wondering why the Pac-12 commissioner keeps trying to say that Pac-12 after dark is a good thing. And why UCLA doesn't want to leave the Pac-12. Oh, I know hundreds of coaches and players who don't want to leave. Yeah? Well, Chip Kelly does. By the way, UCLA plays Arizona State this Saturday, right? When's kickoff? Glad you asked. 10:30 p.m. if you're on the East Coast. So don't try and sit there and tell me that USC and UCLA will rue the day that they're going to be on after midnight trying to keep up on the recruiting trail. Stop it. You know, we had been talking about the AFC West being loaded just to the hilt, just to the gills. How all 4 teams were just loading up on trades and free agents and this, that, and the other. And now that the games are being played, not so much, right? I mean, if you looked at the game Sunday, I think it's kind of obvious we can already eliminate Las Vegas. Denver, we probably cut them. But that just leaves 2 teams, Kansas City. And what about the Chargers, though? What about them, right? Well, they had their bye week. And now, in my arrogant little opinion, these next 3 games, I don't want to say that they're make or break, but they're definitely not a cakewalk. It's going to be tough. And if they do not perform well, they're going to be in real trouble because they take a cross-country flight all the way to Atlanta. Now, you're sitting there thinking, so what, James? Atlanta has sucked these last couple of years. Oh, yeah? Well, they're in first place now. They're not a complete team by any means, but they are the first place Atlanta Falcons. And oh, by the way, they run the football, which is something that the Chargers have had a lot of problems stopping. And then their next game, they're up in San Francisco. Same thing. The Niners run the ball very well. And they have a solid defensive front. And by the way, something that teams are not good at doing, winning the second game of back back-to-back road games. And then, of course, they come home and they're going to play Kansas City. That is not an easy stretch for a team that has just been muddling around the 500 level. The Chargers, for all the moves they've made, are 4-3. Now, the following is not a prediction, but if they lose all 3 games and they're 4-6, this team would be in real trouble. And that, by the way, is a possibility. I think they should beat Atlanta. I'm not confident about them beating San Francisco, but then now you're talking about looking at division leaders Kansas City. Tough stretch. Definitely tough stretch. I want to give a snapshot of who Gabriel Velarde is and why it took them so long to develop. Go back to 2019. Gabriel Velarde was the 11th overall pick in the draft, and the Kings thought they had a steal, possibly the next Anze Kopitar, because Velarde at that point, they're looking at him, they're seeing him as 6'3", they imagine putting a little muscle on him, and he'd be about 215 pounds. So they're sitting there saying, well, what's Anze Kopitar? Plays solid defense, definitely a force on offense because he is a puck magnet. It is hard to knock Kopitar off the puck. So they were thinking somebody who's rugged, who's going to take over a game. Problem is, that hasn't happened for a few years because when you're that large and you're playing a game where you have to have strong core work because you're putting your torso down so you can skate faster, he had back problems. Massive back problems. He was shut down once for an entire year. Velarde, for himself, was saying he had missed so many games over the last 3 years that he felt like he had missed the entire 3 years. So for somebody who was supposed to have the red carpet open for him to just waltz right into the NHL, totally didn't happen for him. Now, he didn't need surgery on his lower back, something like that. So this wasn't about mental or rookie mistakes. He was just saying that he had to spend all that time to be able to get himself in a position to where he could recognize the little tweaks, the little things that go on in your back, so he could immediately counter that with therapy to be prepared to play NHL hockey. And since that, all of a sudden, the rocket just went up into outer space for the kid. Now, granted, 10 games is a small sample size, but you got to like what you see if you're Gabriel Velarde. Greg Vanny of the LA Galaxy says he does not envision Luis Suarez joining the team, and thank God, we don't need any more cannibals on the team. I like my teams having a ratio of a 0-0 cannibal set, right? 0 people who chew on their opponents. None of that. Also, a little concerning though, he said he doesn't believe forward is a need. I think many of us who've watched the Galaxy would say otherwise. Also for the Galaxy, it does in fact appear that team president Chris Klein is likely to resign with the team. Before the Galaxy added Ricky Puig, there were banners flying over Dignity Health Sports Park begging the Galaxy to fire the guy. But the Galaxy, their revenues have just shot through the roof in terms of ticket sales, in terms of sponsorships. Klein's going to get credit for that, frankly. Also, the Galaxy will not, unlike other MLS teams, not be rebranding. This, I'm going to be honest with you, is a beautiful development. I love the Galaxy logo. You've seen me wear Galaxy gear. There was an ad halfway through the year where they had included this odd-looking LA logo, sparking fears that the team was going to go through a rebrand. I mean, rebrands are just a way to get idiots like me to buy jerseys. Memo to the Galaxy. I am an idiot. I am buying a lot of Galaxy jerseys. You don't have to worry about making money off me like that. Justin Turner wins the Roberto Clemente Award. It's philanthropic. He's long been a community contributor for the Dodgers. The LA City Council had previously recognized him with Justin Turner Day, for example, back in 2019. He's donated more than $100,000 to LA Children's Hospital, works with the homeless, donates toys and bikes to kids all over the place. But having said all of that, his offense has declined drastically. And he's due $16 million if the team picks up the option. $16 million for him, $13 million that you've already committed to Max Muncy. Do you really want to commit $29 million to two players who had really subpar years? Finally, over at USC, wide receiver Mario Williams. You might have noticed he was dressed for the game against Arizona, did not play, even though he was supposed to be the primary target, picking up the slack for Jordan Addison. Lincoln Riley described it as, quote, a tweak. Are you sure? Are you sure? You had somebody with just a tweak sitting out a game and he was already dressed up to be your star wide receiver for that game. You tell me what you think in the comments thread. As you can see, massively busy day in LA sports. We might have a special report. It depends on if the Rams make a mega blockbuster type trade. But if not, thank you for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm James. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.